Hello, this is David Mixner, and I am very excited tonight to have a good friend live from Kiev, Ukraine. Jason Bellini is one of the more outstanding journalists. He was a pioneer with the Wall Street Journal and transitioning print publications to videos. He's currently in the Kiev, Ukraine as a war correspondent for Newsy, where he's covering the biggest international story of the year. Jason, it's good to see you. It's good to see you in good health. How are you?
I'm good, David. And you know what? I'm honored that you wanted to talk to me. We've been good friends for a long time, and you've always been so supportive of all that I've been doing. And this is an interesting moment that we're in. And this is my third time now here in Kiev. I feel like I've spent more time in Kiev this year than I've spent at home. I think that really actually is the case. But when you're a journalist and there's a story of this magnitude, there's no place you'd rather be.
Well, you're doing a great job, Jason. And, as a war correspondent, when you first went, we haven't had a war like this one since World War II. What surprised you the most on your first go around?
What surprised me the most, I'd say, is when the war started, and we're talking really just 6 months ago, pretty much to the day. The people here did not believe it. I mean, you had Western intelligence saying that Russia's gonna attack. I mean, there were all the signs and signals. I mean, even my fixer, which is the term of art we use for like a translator, driver, person you work with, my partner in crime over here, he didn't believe it. I was telling him, okay, you need to make sure that we have gas canisters filled and that we need to have gas ready because this might happen. And he was kind of lackadaisical about it. And then, sure enough, on the 24th. The war begins, the missiles fly, and there's a line a mile long to get fuel. I still understand why they didn't believe that this was really going to happen when all the signs were pointing to it. So obviously, I think it's just so unthinkable.
I was going to say it was unthinkable to all of us. And all of us were convinced that when the Russians invaded that it would end in 3 days. And the resilience of the Ukraine people was part of the story.
Absolutely.
What was it like? You were there when it opened, bombardments, air raid sirens going off constantly. What did it feel like inside?
Well, I was in Lviv, and that area of the country, it's in the west. It didn't get, I'm trying to remember, I don't know if on the day one it got hit, but yeah, we were hearing air raid sirens. I mean, it's just such a haunting sound, these wailing sirens, which I'm now very used to. I can actually sleep through them at this point. But when that happened and we began hearing what was going on, it was really unclear at that moment. What was frightening was, all right, what's gonna happen with this? It reminded me of the war in Iraq from the standpoint when that began. I was an embedded journalist with the Marines, and we were worried then that they were going to use chemical weapons. I mean, we just did not know how much danger we ourselves were in and this country was in. Now, the folks in Kiev, I mean, it does seem like, I don't know if we can say they dodged the bullet, but and I think I'm sorry.
Suburbs got hit hard.
Oh yeah, and I've spent a lot of time in Bucha. I was just there the other day, and Irpin, and these suburbs that were where people were under occupation for about a month, and what they endured, just horrific, just horrific. Still so many people, and there's still so many people who are missing, unaccounted for. And I've been there when they've dug up bodies from shallow graves just to see, trying to do DNA matches and that kind of thing. It's really ugly stuff.
How do you deal with that personally? Where do you put it?
Good question.
Just move forward.
It's a good question. I don't know if I have a good answer. All I can say is probably busy. I'm just so busy. I'm working 16-hour days at minimum when I'm over here, and I'm not sure you have that much time to reflect when things finally wind down on your way home. Then you can really think about it. But what I can tell you is that it's not really the sort of the full scope that touches me. It's individual people that I've encountered and their story. You know, for example, I was mentioning Bucha, a woman there that I spent time with. Her husband's missing, and you could tell just from being with her that they were truly in love. And she is just sick. Her hands were shaking when I was with her because she is just absolute tormented by what may have happened to him. She left. He told her that she should leave with their two kids, and so he stuck around. And I, one thing I've learned is if we're ever, heaven forbid, if we're in the United States or ever, heaven forbid, if you ever find yourself in a city that is under occupation, that where you're occupied, right, by an adversary, the lesson I've learned over here is no matter what, no matter how hungry, no matter how thirsty you are, don't leave the house, because the people that I've talked to where they've lost loved ones, it's when they leave the house to go check on something, to go get something, that's when things go wrong. Hunker down, stay home.
Now, this is Independence Day this week in Ukraine. There's been a lot of chatter here in the States about new assault on possibly Kiev. Are people on nerves end there?
I would say so, except, you know, in Kiev itself, things feel fairly normal, despite all these warnings we're getting. And there's not a whole lot you can do. And the Independence Day itself came and went, and there was no attack on Kiev. And this city is fortunate enough to have air defenses that aren't 100% successful, but are pretty successful in knocking out Russian missiles. It's the rest of the country that's in far worse shape. But again, it's, you know, it's the unknown. I mean, right now, it appears that Putin is mad as a hornet, and so how he might strike out, we just, you know, don't know. And he does have the ability to do really awful things, which he is doing, which he did do on Independence Day when he attacked that train station. 2 children were killed in that. There were 24, 25 people who died in that attack. One thing on that one we don't know is how many of them were civilians versus people versus soldiers, because the Ukrainian military won't talk. The Ukrainian military and just about anyone here is not going to talk about the trains and what role they may or may not play in the war effort, simply because they don't want them to be targets, even though they are, and they don't want to give Russia reason or give them, you know, the propaganda reason to talk about, you know, to target their railroads.
Jason, from a personal viewpoint, Ukraine has a large LGBTQ plus community. Are they actively accepted and participating, joining the soldiers, relief efforts? What are they doing?
What are they doing? Well, some of them are on the front lines. Now, you know, remember that they declared martial law. Zelensky declared martial law right at on day one, and so fighting age men could not leave. So many lesbians have left, and some, you know, a good number have also come back. But yeah, there've been some Ukrainian LGBT members who've been fighting, and one in particular I remember who was a very active member of the community who died, and there were a lot of tributes to him in the community. Really hit home for them. But, you know, people in the LGBT community, just like everyone else, is people are doing, and that's what I think one of the most remarkable things here is people do whatever they can, whatever skills they've got. If they have technical skills, they're helping out with the drones, they're helping out with humanitarian relief, they're helping out in just about every way. And then there are also a lot of people who just need to, you know, maintain their jobs. You know, there are a lot of people in the LGBT community who are working for Western companies that where even with the war going on, they still need to do their coding, still need to be doing whatever it is that they do for these Western companies. I mean, there's a lot of talent here. It's a highly educated population, especially among the young people. So I think
And that keeps the economy going.
Keeps the economy going. You got to, you know, you know, just because the war goes on, war's happening doesn't mean that the normal requirements of daily life go away.
One last question. You're there at 10 p.m. at night. When you have time off, what do you do with recreation? Do you hang out with other war correspondents? Do you meet some people in Ukraine that you hang out with? I mean, how do you relax as a war correspondent?
How do you relax? Well, it probably would not surprise you to hear that we do a little drinking around here. I'm at the hotel with the other network folks, and the bar. It's funny, we're all on kind of the same schedule, so the bar they keep the bar open for us till 2-3 a.m. and usually I don't get to bed till 3 a.m. and then breakfast at this hotel starts 7 a.m. ends at 11 a.m. right. Well, the place, everyone shows up for breakfast 10:30 a.m. We're all staying up crazy late, and then it's like, I'm sure it's empty. I don't know what it's like before 10 a.m., but I'm sure it's empty until 10:30 a.m. when we all come in bleary-eyed, ready to start another day. But that's, I mean, honestly, if there's a fun aspect of this is the camaraderie you have with colleagues over here and with other journalists, because we're all sort of in the same boat. And it's also one of the things that's also special about, I've done conflict zones now for a while, and one of the things that's special about it is that we all the competitiveness factor, that's always there, but when it comes to safety, we are not keeping information from one another. We're very collaborative across organizations, and if something goes wrong, everyone's going to help out. No matter, everyone's going to be there for one another, and that's, I think that's really nice to see. It doesn't matter whether you're Fox, CNN, MSNBC, Newsy, where I work. We're all there for one another. We're on Slack channels together, where or not Slack channels, but WhatsApp channels, where we're sharing information. When it comes to safety, that is where competition ends, and we all are in it together.
Well, Jason, you're one of my heroes. You have
Please.
food.
I can't handle. I cannot hold a candle to you and your bravery.
No, we're not talking about me. You're one of my heroes. Please be safe. I'm glad to hear you have that safety network with other correspondents. And, you're becoming one of the best known war correspondents that the United States has between Iraq and this. We count on you for the truth. We count on you to find ways we can help. And please be safe. And we're so very proud of you.
Thank you. It's an honor to bear witness. That's what, at the end of the day, what our role is. We bear witness, and there's poetry and there's profoundness to that, and I appreciate that, and it makes the long hours worth it. Knowing that we're part of something big. This is something really big, and we don't know how this is going to end, but we do know that the historic import is hard to overstate.
And we're fortunate to have you there to share that witness to us. Peace, my friend. We all are praying for you, and I can't wait to see you back home.
Thank you, my friend. Can't wait to